Hello everyone, welcome back to Bits and Bob's Divination. My name is Caitlin and I invite you here today to look into your next 2 weeks for your main energies and each individual week itself. So let's go ahead and dive right in. So welcome back, Kindred Spirits, and anyone new who may be joining us here today. We are going to be using both charms and letter tiles and all sorts of fun things to look into your next 2 weeks, and we'll be doing it through different piles here, so we'll look at each of them here in a moment. If you are new, do feel free to subscribe. It's free and a lot of fun. We put out new videos on here every single Monday, especially here as we start in the new year, and I also do some fun educational videos on charms and letter tiles and all sorts. But if you've been here for a while or are interested, I am also offering you 2023 readings all the way through January for both digital and snail mail readings. So snail mail readings being ones that I send to you in the mail to treasure and look over as the year goes on, sort of as a map or compass. And also I am doing digital readings this time for both email and Instagram DM readings. So do feel free to check all of that out down below. These are my personal favorite readings to do. There's something about the possibility of a new year that creates such empowerment, healing, opportunities, possibilities, and wonderment that I just love. So I hope you do join in. If you're going to get a tarot reading, I feel like this is the time to do it. It's the best time of year. So do feel free to check those out down below. And you're supporting not only yourself and also supporting this channel. So I really do appreciate that. Thank you. But let's go ahead and look at these piles. So we have 3 different piles here. For pile number 1, we have this piece of red tiger's eye. So that is pile number 1 if it's calling to you. For pile number 2 here, we have this piece of rose quartz in this beautiful kind of champagne pink. So that is pile number 2. And then here for pile number 3, we have this mysterious piece of blue stone. I don't really know exactly what it is. It might be sodalite, it might not, but there is this beautiful blue stone. So that is pile number 3. And before you start heading off to the timestamps and all of that down below, I want to just invite you, as always, to take a deep, cleansing, grounding breath here with me, just to kind of settle your energy and to connect with your intuition. So let's go ahead and take that deep breath here together now. So as always, there's no right or wrong way to choose these piles. There really are no rules. You can choose all of them, 2 of them, flip-flop between them, pick and choose, see what resonates for you. There really is no right or wrong way. All of the timestamps will be down below in the description, and you can check them out with the chapter marks of this video. And like I mentioned before, if you're interested in a 2023 reading both digitally or snail mail-y, then do feel free to check out all the information down below. They truly are a treasured reading that I think would be really useful to all of you and anyone in the new year. So do feel free to check those out down below. And we're going to go ahead and get started here with pile number 1. Hello group 1, if you've decided to choose this piece of red tiger's eye, then this is the pile for you. I'm going to go ahead and set it on our tarot deck of choice today, which is the Gentle Tarot, but we're mostly going to be playing around in the realm of tarot tiles with the Charmcast Tarot here and the charm tiles or charm divination set that I have in more of the oracle side of the messages. For your reading today, we're going to be using the charm casting mat that I hand embroidered, so we're going to be playing around with that again today, as well as the letters and number tiles. So do feel free to get settled, get grounded, get a comfy cozy blanket, put this on in the background while you get some chores done or whatever you'd like to do, but do feel free to get settled and send your energy in. So today's reading is all about the next 2 weeks, and so we're going to be splitting up this to look into week 1 and week 2, as well as the main energy here of your next 2 weeks. But I want to start out first by moving this over here for you. I'm going to set this in the middle so the camera has something to focus on, but we're going to actually start here to look into your letters and number tiles, which usually is very backwards, I know, but I find it kind of fun changing things up lately and playing around with new different styles for you all to see what sticks and what's helpful for you. So feedback is always appreciated, but we're going to start out first with your letter tiles. So these are going to be showcasing maybe people's initials, different places, street signs, all different types of things that letters could be indicating for you, as well as oracle messages. So do feel free to send your energy and we'll start there. So here we go. Group 1, oracle messages coming through for you through the letter tiles. So the first ones that showed up for you are T, U, and Y. Nothing really fully standing out. Those could be initials of people that you know or other things, but whenever I see more consonants than vowels or more vowels than consonants, then that tells me a little bit about the communication that's going to be going on, if it's going to be feeling flustered or if it's going to be feeling like miscommunication or nonverbal communication. But seeing as Y, at least in the English language, can sometimes be a bit of a vowel, it seems that communication that happens over these next 2 weeks are going to be really more clear or more balanced. So that's really nice to be seeing just based off of the ones that showed up here for you. We also have the letter L, W, F, and O. So kind of felt the idea of flow, right? We have F, L, W, O. But I also got the feeling of like it backwards being sort of like a wall or wall came up for some reason. So for some of you, you're going to be feeling like in a really nice state of flow. Others, I feel like you're going to be in a state of flow and then you're going to find something that just sort of kind of kicks you down a little bit or tries to get in your path, some rocks, some rubble, some rough tides, or some little bumps in the road. But I don't think that they're going to be major or very significant. So I'm not really getting a whole lot here. The main word that I'm getting here is flow, honestly, for you, and then that clear communication or more balanced communication coming through here. So already some really positive, wonderful things, showcasing that you're capable to get over any little humps or little bubbles in your path. So let's just go ahead and move on to your numbers. So very similar to the letter tiles, this is showcasing more of the language side. This is going to showcase lucky numbers, angel numbers, or other signs and signals from spirit. But you can also look into the colors and see if those resonate with you for a certain reason, or you can see these as specific dates or times that might be significant to you over the next 2 weeks. So let's go ahead and look at those. Okay, so one decided to hop right out. So let's see what that one was. So you had the number 6. That one hopped right out at the very beginning, so that seems to be very significant. 6 also showcases a nice temperance energy, a very nice flow, really. It represents harmony, things coming back into harmony. It also, harmony represents, right, we came from a place of dissonance, like if you think of it in music terms. Dissonance is when two notes kind of like sound horrible together, right? Or two things that seem like they wouldn't work sometimes do work in music to create an emotional effect. But I feel like for you, things are coming back into harmony, things are coming back into flow. So if you had something over these last 2 weeks or recently that felt very like grinding gears against each other, or like you heard two notes that just don't sound good together, something is coming back into harmony. You have another 2 of them that showcase more even numbers. So you have the number 4 and the number 12 here, as well as the number 11, which is a wish-making number or a number about possibilities. So already really lovely ways to start out your next 2 weeks. I want to go ahead and pull you a significator card for you for the next 2 weeks as well. So I'm not going to be pulling a lot of cards. Most of the cards that we're going to be pulling from tarot decks is going to be in a charm form. So for you, I'm going to pull you just one card here today to showcase the main stage energy that's coming through most, like it's the main thread, the big one. So what is coming through most in your energy over these next 2 weeks? And I think it's really important to definitely take a moment and meditate on these cards and really send your energy in. That really does make a difference. But let's see, over the next 2 weeks, group one, what do you have coming through most significantly? The most significant energy over these next 2 weeks. The center stage. Your card here, if I can try not to drop everything, is the Four of Wands. Oh, and I love this specific Four of Wands in this deck. It does showcase a beautiful flow. It always does showcase also a bit of this hourglass energy, which can showcase okay, let me just start from the top, right? Because there's a lot that I could say about this card, and I really want to take a moment to really say it. So basically, the Four of Wands represents a point in your timeline, in your current life, in this current moment, over these next 2 weeks, where you feel very like you're in your flow, things are happening properly, things are happening in the right time, in the right order. There's just things that just keep clicking. Things just feel like they click. There's also possibility, like I said, there's that 11 number, the idea of possibilities being very open to you at this time too. Very divine possibilities, divine timing possibilities. So it's really important to stay on the lookout over these next 2 weeks as well for those divine possibilities, those clicks in timing that just wouldn't work in any other time, but right now it's just really clicking, things are flowing, things make sense. But say 2 weeks from now, or 2 weeks after that, or a month from now, it wouldn't work. So really listening to those and feeling that luck. I feel like you have a lot of luck over these next 2 weeks. Listening to that lucky possibility that you have, and not squandering it, right? Sometimes, things happen and we don't have time, even though it feels like it's a very divine time. It's okay if you can't find the time for things to come in, but there definitely is opportunity here, and it's definitely flowing in for you. So maybe opening up your time. It reminds me of like the saying, right? Like, you're not trying to find time for something to happen, but make time, create time, actually plan it out, put in your planner, this day I'm going to do this thing, or when the possibility comes up, try to maybe have a little bit more of an open mind to it. If someone offers you something or offers an opportunity to you, maybe take 2 more seconds to think about it before you say no, or before your initial reaction would kick in, and see what would flow there. Because I think that's a big part of your next 2 weeks. So I'm going to go ahead and move on to your charms now, but keeping this in mind as your main energy, we are going to be splitting this up, and I'll zoom this out so you can see, but we're going to be splitting this mat up, as this is more to do with that Four of Wands energy. We're going to be looking a little bit deeper into that here, but we're also going to use these little noodle shapes here to showcase week 1 and week 2 and any other timing that might be showing up. So let's go ahead and do that with the Charmcast Tarot here first. So let's see, group 1, do feel free to send your energy in here. Let's see, group 1, what do we got coming in here? Okay, so these are the charms that I was feeling. We're going to be pulling even more here in a moment, and see what reveals here. I'm going to reveal the rest of them here in a moment, but let's go ahead and look first into your charms so that we can see the full picture here. So do feel free to send your energy in as well to the charms. We'll pull those as well. I always find it really interesting what little bits and bobs show up for you. So here we go, group 1. Okay. So let's see here. So I'm going to zoom you in just a little bit since some of them didn't really fall down here. And let's just start right here in the center, right? So I'm going to go ahead and move your main card here so you can see it as well. And what you got here, and I'll go ahead and zoom you in so you can see right in the center here, but what you got for your main energy alongside your Four of Wands is the Seven of Cups. And as you can see here, this little figure has a lot of options, lots of possibilities, lots of opportunities showing up. So there's a lot of really nice divine timing coming in here. And I know not everyone loves that word, right? Because it's kind of like, I mean, should I go for it just because the universe is telling me to do it? Sometimes we feel like that resistance. But there is just a lot of wonderful opportunities showing up here, and the opportunities are many, which sometimes can be overwhelming. So you might be feeling a little overwhelmed to take all of them on. This isn't the feeling to like say yes to every single one of them, but just again, giving yourself a little bit more consideration for them, giving yourself a little bit more time to think it over just one more second. Think, hey, well, what if I did say yes? What if I did try that out? What if I did go to that dinner? What if I, what would change there? And how could it be a key to a new possibility and a new opportunity that continues down the line? Because the Four of Wands doesn't only just talk about a flow that's happening right now, but it also showcases that it's a really nice, strong foundation, a nice start, but a foundation needs a home to continue to build on top of it. So something that you're building right now is really strong. It's in a flow. It's in a really good state. Maybe that's just the beginning of the year. Maybe it's how you're currently feeling emotionally. Maybe it's about your passions, your dreams, your career, wherever it may land. But it's at this really prime time to continue building and to keep adding to it. And I think that you have a lot of new building materials showing up here for you to do that really effectively and keep that flow going. So with that in mind, I'm going to zoom you out so you can see the first week over here. So you had two different cards that showed up for your first week. The first one is the reversed side of the Five of Pentacles. And the Five of Pentacles usually represents feeling either physically sick. It can showcase just feeling kind of like that chronic illness, if you have a chronic illness or something like that, that you might just be feeling kind of down from that right now or something like that. But it's showcasing it coming around. And it also showcases a lot to do with recovery, whether that's recovery in a physical sense or just like I said, where you're flowing so well that like if you come across a waterfall or a dip in the bend or things change or a quick shift, you're going to be really good at navigating that really well, and that you're equipped with the right things to make that happen, right? You don't need anything else. There's a lot of preparedness that comes through as well, because this is the preparation charm. So over this next first week, you're going to feel really prepared for whatever comes your way, because this is the icicle charm. That's why I always think it makes me think of being prepared, because if you've ever been in a place with icicles, you'll know you have to be prepared to look up above you for like that safety reason, versus just kind of walking by them like it's a fine, completely normal thing. So there's a lot of preparedness. You're very prepared for anything that comes your way, and even if you don't feel that way right now, you're going to in this next week. There's going to be a lot of confidence building and things like that. We have the fall in love charm as well, so this can represent timing sometimes with the fall. So for those of you, especially in the southern hemisphere, as you start to move towards the fall, there could be something about that divine timing. Outside of that, though, it can represent a opportunity within love, within romance, and it can also represent feeling prepared for that, or if there is something that happened recently that kind of got you down in a way, romantically or platonically with someone, you're really prepared to be able to combat that, especially with someone who maybe is a Knight of Swords energy. So that's also coming up here for your week one. The Knight of Swords usually represents someone who's very impulsive, very brash. Their communication can come off a little cold, and they also say what they mean very quickly. They don't typically think before they act. So that could be coming in there as well. So again, it could go different ways, but for some of you, I think that's important to mention that might be connected, and that you're feeling very prepared to be able to combat this situation or be able to move through the bumps in the road that might be coming through with that type of person. Outside of that, though, you might be feeling more impulsive as well. But like I said, I'm getting a lot of energy showcasing that you're really in a flow and that you're feeling very like go with the flow kind of energy. So I do feel like this is someone else kind of rocking up the boat. And then lastly here, you have the solar plexus showing up here in terms of energy centers within the body. So this can represent if you are feeling kind of down, it might be something within the gut. Outside of that, though, it also can represent just feeling really confident. There's a lot of confidence showing up here in your first week. As for your second week, though, let's reveal what we have here. So we have the Three of Wands showing up here. Three of Wands usually represents, I kind of got the feeling that, like, if you did say yes to something, this is when the momentum starts to happen. This is when it starts to actually move forward. You also have the Four of Wands here, so we have the 3 and the 4, so there is a succession of time, a continuation of building upon something. So if you've been trying to build something, like I said, and you're trying to gather those building materials, gather those possibilities, gather those tools in your favor, within this divine timing, that's going to be continuing to come in. This also represents that some of those resources are going to come from things outside of yourself. So like I said, other people might be coming in to help you continue to grow that solid foundation, or it's coming from unexpected places too. I got this feeling that it's coming from unexpected people and places, because we do have the pawn here. So you might have people coming in. I honestly am getting this feeling that, like, in the second week, that there might be people coming in that are going to be helpful, yes, but there's also going to be people who are trying to micromanage what you're trying to get done, especially since you also have here the original. Whenever I see this one, it just represents having your own original ideas and going with your own original gut, going with your own grain, and someone's trying to go against your grain right now. Someone's trying to kind of have a pity party on top of you. So just be aware of that in your second week, that you might have someone trying to weasel their way in and change your direction, even though it's best to stay in the flow state that you're in. So that's mostly just kind of a caution for the second week. So I do think that's everything that I'm getting here from your cards and charms. I'll show these to you again in case you want to look at them. Like I said, your main card here is the Four of Wands. So there's a lot of flow, there's a lot of opportunity and possibility coming in, a lot of opportunity for you to say yes. Doesn't mean you have to say yes to everything. And to just be aware of people weaseling in, especially people who are very impulsive or trying to just sort of step on your toes and make you go against your grain. Go against your flow. So that's what I'm really getting here. I hope you did enjoy this reading. If you did, be sure to give this video a like. It really does help the algorithm and the channel to continue to grow. So I really do appreciate that. And you can also check the description down below, as I have a master video all on charm casting if that's something you're more interested in. You can also subscribe to the channel, as I put out new videos all the time that are not only 2-week readings, monthly readings, but also fun, interesting, timeless readings too, and some educational videos. So do feel free to subscribe. And you can also check out all of the different ways you can support this channel while supporting yourself, especially here in the new year, as I'm doing 2023 digital and snail mail readings for you at different prices and different tiers. So do feel free to check all of that out down below as well, especially if you want to look deeper into the main card and obstacles and strengths that you're going to have moving into the new year. So all of that will be down below, and I hope you did enjoy. I'm going to go ahead and move on to group number 2. Bye. Hello group 2. If you've decided to choose this piece of rose quartz, then this is the pile for you. I'm going to go ahead and set it over here for you so you can see it during your reading today, as we are going to be using mostly the charms again today. We're only going to be using one deck, and that is the Gentle Tarot here. But mostly we're going to be using the charms. We're going to be using the main charm deck that I have here, as well as the tarot, the cast tarot charms. So do feel free to get get settled and get yourself ready for this reading. I have been trying to play around with different styles and casting styles and play around with different ways to showcase different readings for you. So I hope you do enjoy this here today and are open-minded to the different setup, but feedback always goes a long way, so do feel free to let me know what you think at the end. But yeah, let's just go ahead and get started if you're settled and ready to go. We are going to be starting out first with the letter tiles here today. So whenever I use the letter tiles, this usually is to showcase oracle messages, but we also can look into it to look into very specific things to you. So maybe you're going to see your initials, your parents' initials, a loved one's initials, or you could also see it as different places and street signs and other things that might flow into your head and see what shows up for you. So we're going to be doing that, and we're also going to be playing around with some numbers here in a moment too. So let's see first the letters coming in for you, group 2, for the next 2 weeks. So we have a lot of different letters here, but mostly the first 3 that came up is L, L, and I. So immediately when I first threw out the first 4, I got the idea of like I felt like almost a crushing sensation, right? Or like this feeling of like crushing on someone in a more romantic or even platonic sense, right? Sometimes we have new friendships and we just really like someone, or we're compatible with someone. So there's a lot of compatibility showing up here for someone. Maybe it's someone you already know and it's just nice to be around them, or you're learning something about something new that you really like coming in, a new hobby or skill. See what comes through, but just in general, whenever I see the first couple that show up besides the ones that are upside down, I like to see if there's more consonants than vowels. If there's more consonants, then that means there's a lot more verbal communication. If you have a lot more vowels, then it means nonverbal communication, something more flowing. So right now you have a lot more verbal communication happening over the next 2 weeks, so that's something to keep in mind, that you might be more chatty, you might be talking more on the phone, might be FaceTiming some people that you really like. There's just a lot more socialization happening there. But let's see what else there is. We have the letter T, F. I got little, like something little, or littles, little young people in your life, the letter A, as well as the letter U. I kind of got laugh. It's spelled a little bit differently, Lauf, but I kind of got the idea of like laughter, a lot of laughter with someone. We also have till here, so something shifting or changing, maybe in a relationship right now, like a shifting or tilling the earth. But yeah, this also makes me think of like a lot of inside jokes, a lot of witty jokes happening, like, you know, a secret handshake, or that weird communication that you have with like my sister. I have this weird communication that we have, right? These really interesting things that might be coming up. We're gonna see how it resonates with the cards and everything that you get, but just in general, in terms of communication over these next 2 weeks, it seems that you're reconnecting with someone who you really like, or finding that a shift in a relationship with someone is turning to be more that you like someone than you thought you did. And it also is deepening through laughter and through humor, as well as through the like those weird nonverbal or silly communication that you have that's very unique to you and this person. So there's something showing up there, but I want to see your numbers as well. So whenever we use the number tiles, you can look into the specific numbers as dates within the month, or time, specific timing, in terms of like a clock or 24 hours. You can also look into the different numbers as in numbers from spirit, so angel numbers or spiritual numbers. And you can also just look at the numbers for fun, right? Or through the colors. So let's see what comes in for you over the next 2 weeks. Group 2. Group 2. Next 2 weeks. Lots of numbers. Okay, so You also, like group 1, got the number 11 of possibility. Whenever I see the number 11, it represents possibilities, it represents dreams and wish making, manifestation. You also have the number 6 as well as 7, so a succession of times, 6 and 7, 67, 76. And then we also have the number 8 as well as 10 and 7. So yeah, we have a lot of quite a big mix here of both odd and even numbers. So there's a good mix here. We have 2 7s though, 7, 7. 7 can represent introspection, contemplation, taking time to sometimes overthinking something, especially if something is changing within a relationship, right? We can sometimes overthink it, or look at every single message that they sent you or someone sent you and, trying to decode it, look at it from multiple angles, right? So there's something showing up there. But do feel free to look at the other numbers and see what comes through for you. But yeah, you have 11, 8, 10, 7, 7, and 6. And then we're also going to look into your main card. So I'll go ahead and do that here in a second. So to look into your main card today, we're going to be using the Gentle Tarot. And this is to look into, and we're only going to be pulling one card here today outside of tarot charms, but this is going to be the main stage energy of the next 2 weeks for you. So the energy coming up most prevalent, or the one that's just lingering or staying there, or just the main energy. So let's see what that is for you. Since this is the main one, definitely feel free to send your energy in through time and space. It always does make a difference, especially in readings that are showcased for so many different people in a collective sense. So let's see, the next 2 weeks, group 2. What do we got for you, group 2? The energy of the cards feels a little sporadic. So again, more of that overthinking energy coming through. Okay, yeah, you got the 9 of Thunder. The 9 of Thunder represents being in your head. It represents sometimes twisting situations in your head because you overthink it or look at it a little too closely or contemplate it a little bit too closely. So I totally see that. The 9 of Thunder also can be known as the 9 of Swords. And in this case, it does also showcase fantasy, right? Staying in your head and kind of going to a fantasy world, a dream world, kind of looking at it from either a glass half full, right, rose-colored glasses way, or the complete opposite of what if this all went wrong? What if I had done that, and overthinking it. So there's a lot within the mind over the next 2 weeks, and maybe learning to find ways to quiet your mind. Sometimes that's through laughter, sometimes that's through humor, and also it's just about giving yourself a little bit more grace. It's okay, we're all human. Most of the time, the things that we overthink, especially when it comes to someone else, or that we're embarrassed, or did I say the right thing? Did I not say the right thing? And this doesn't have to be with like a romantic sense. It can be like overthinking a work meeting, or overthinking that conversation with your mom, or whatever it might be. Most of the time, a lot of the time actually, right, the things that we overthink, they've either already forgotten about, or it just really wasn't that big for them on their end. So I'm sure you can think of many, many different times where this has happened to you, where someone has said something and they feel like they need to say or apologize or overthink it or talk to you about it, and you're like way past it. You're not even thinking about it anymore. You would have forgotten it had they not brought it up. So there is something showcasing that too, to just sort of allow yourself a little bit more grace. You are a human. You're allowed to mess up, to say the wrong thing, to be awkward or fumble, and that's okay. It's all right to also want to talk that out with someone. So that's showing up here. Like I said, you have a lot of wonderful opportunity here for having a little bit of fun, or poking a little fun at yourself, and having that be an okay thing. And also that a little laughter could do you a lot of good. So that's what we have here for your main energy. Do feel free to pause on this if you want to look at it further, but I'm going to go ahead and move it over here so that we can use the main casting cloth here. So as we go through these charms, we are going to be using it this way. So this is going to be more on that 9 of Thunder. So we're going to be looking more into that here with that main stage energy. But with these little kind of noodle shapes that we have here on both sides, we're going to be looking into week 1 and week 2, as well as any other timing showing up. So let's go ahead and start there. So we're going to start here first with your different charm tarot tiles. So do feel free to send your energy in here. Let's see, group 2. Oh wow, lots in group in the second week, huh? Okay, so we have the Magician showing up here in the main energy, but we'll go through the rest of these here in a second. We have a lot with both timing and in the second week, but I want to see more information with the charms, so do feel free to send your energy in through time and space, and we'll look into more of the oracle side of this. So group 2, the next 2 weeks. Okay, so let's see here. Interesting. So we got a little bit more. Oh, I had another one on me. Let's see where it goes. Okay, so we have a couple of different things showing up here. I'm going to zoom you in a little bit since the bottom, there's nothing really happening down here. And we're going to go ahead and see that middle energy first. So, right, so we had the Nine of Thunder as your main card from the start. Overwhelm, overthinking it, giving yourself a little bit too much credit for, or other people, or not giving yourself enough credit for just being a human, rather. And interestingly, you have the Magician showing up here as your main card or charm here. And so whenever I see these two together, it can showcase that you have a lot more power in your favor than maybe you had originally expected. And you also have, over the next 2 weeks, the charm of the good luck key. So right, this is like one of the luck is on your side key, but it's only if you take it to heart. So it makes me think of, like, sometimes we just step into luck, but sometimes we have to make our own luck, and that comes from allowing ourselves to see possibilities, to put those rose-colored glasses on, to give a little bit more humor to life, and by doing so, by lightening things, to lift things, right, to till that earth, to give it a little bit more breathing room, give yourself a little bit more breathing room, you actually open more possibilities for lucky things to come through your door. So I see that coming through. I also see manifestation as a main energy as well, and we were already seeing that with the number 11. That if you are a practitioner of magic or through witchery, or if you do anything to manifest anything to come forward, it does seem too that that's going to be quite a lucky time to do any manifestation work. So keeping that in mind as well. It also seems that you're going to be very resourceful over the next 2 weeks as well. That you have a lot of resources in your favor outside of even this Nine of Thunder. And you have playfulness too, and laughter. Whenever I see this charm, or I got this when I was very young, so it immediately makes me think of specific memories of me with my childhood friends, and hanging out, and like doing all of these really fun, silly things. And so there is a lot of laughter, silliness, playfulness that's coming in for these next 2 weeks as well, and that's going to give you a lot of power. It's going to make you feel more in your element, a little bit more confident, a little bit more I'm a human, and that's okay. And so I think that's also a really lucky thing too, to take advantage of and to enjoy. So that's what I'm seeing here for your main energies. But let's look at the next 2 weeks. So first off, your first week, there wasn't a lot showing up. We have here 2 different charms. The first one here is the no cash value charm. So whenever I see this, it represents that either one, work, cash, finances is just really either fully on your mind, or like it says, no cash. It can be that it's just not really on your mind. It's not your priority over the next 2 weeks. And the things that you're going to be focusing more on seem to be more esoteric, a little bit more manifestation based. This is the universe charm. So as a person who is quite spiritual, I see this as the universe in a very like open-ended sense. So for some of you, you can see the universe as something very nerdy, very specific to you about that. But for others, I see it as looking at things from, this just came through, the idea of like looking at things a little bit too big, making things a little bit too big, giving yourself or making a situation bigger than it is, right? It makes me think of the micro versus the macro thinking, and so blowing things up beyond their proportion. And that's even being shown here with that Nine of Thunder, right? The dress or the gown that they're wearing is all in the universe, right? So it's making things seem bigger, and you're kind of having to carry that sort of weight. So there is a lot of weight here around finances, around cash, around your personal value, or your values showing up here over the first week. But there is a shift in perspective from week 1 to week 2, because here we have the Eiffel Tower charm. And if you guys know of not only the Eiffel Tower in terms of it being very large, which would represent, a shift in perspective, a lot of you might not know that the Eiffel Tower, when it was first put up, there was petitions, there was outright outrage. Lots of people hated it. They did not like it. They wanted it taken down, and now that entire perspective has completely changed, right? It's a landmark. It's something that we love. It's historic. It's something people travel across the world to see. So there is a shift of perspective here, a shift from something that went quite negative to something quite positive, a shift in optimism as well. And I just see you having quite a shift from week 1 to week 2, especially since it fell on that line. And the charms that you have showing up here, we have the first one that came up, actually, that was up right here, is the Four of Swords. And the Four of Swords represents putting your worries on the wall, right? The worries being those swords, putting the worries on the wall, letting yourself have a little bit of rest, a grace period, represented by like taking naps, taking time off, giving yourself that opportunity to just sort of rest, to hibernate for a little bit and then come back stronger. This doesn't represent quitting. I feel like a lot of people look at this card and it makes you feel like you stopped or you've halted your progress, but it really just represents giving yourself a little bit of grace, a little bit of time, a little bit of recovery, and that's completely fair. You also have the Groovy charm, which I think is really interesting. The Groovy charm represents kind of finding that peace, that serenity. That's the word that came through for me for week 2, a little bit of serenity, a little bit of grace. And then you also have, in terms of timing, around the first quarter moon over these next 2 weeks. That could be specifically a moon cycle, or it can just represent, the first quarter moon represents the word action to me, or momentum, getting something started, that first flame. And you have a lot of momentum that's going to build after you give yourself a little bit of time off. And what comes from that, what you gain from that, is momentum to start something. There is something showcasing here with the Emperor. The Emperor represents quite a great planner. They're very good planners. If you guys haven't used a planner yet this year, start working through a planner. I think that could be really useful to you after you've taken a bit of rest. A vision board even. And there's also a lot of showcasing of collaboration. So this could be asking for advice and getting together with friends. And just after this grace period, after you've allowed yourself a little bit of laughter, a little bit of play, a little bit of shift in perspective, that's when you can start focusing on momentum and moving forward and action towards your plans and getting them moving. But I think that it's more important for you to focus on the rest of what we've talked about than it is for these two, because they're so much farther out. So it's kind of like a weather report. Those things are more likely to change. But I do think that it's only going to be impactful for you to have these plans come to fruition after you've taken that rest and allowed yourself a little bit of rest somewhere and really planned it in. So that's really what I'm getting here for you for the next 2 weeks. I hope this was useful for you. I'll go ahead and show you your main letters and numbers here again, but that's the next 2 weeks for you. Try not to overwhelm yourself. Try not to. I know it's easier said than done, so obviously just give yourself a little bit more grace, give yourself a little bit more I'm just a human. I think that's going to help you a lot. So do feel free to give this video a like if you did find it useful, and leave a comment down below how it resonated for you. Any feedback is always really useful. You're also welcome to check out the master video that I have on charm casting if that's something that interests you, and also I put out other educational videos and timeless readings that you can check out by subscribing. So do feel free to do that and join us in this little space of the internet. And lastly, if you want to get a full reading on your 2023 and the year ahead, do feel free to check all of that out down below as well, as that's a great way to not only support you in the new year, but also support the channel, support this space, support me through this. I really would appreciate it if you want to check those out, and I hope that they are useful to you. I have both digital and snail mail reading options. Usually it's only snail mail readings, so definitely take advantage of those digital readings. They are at a lower price and are more accessible to a lot of you, especially those outside of the US. But if you want a treasured reading as well, you can check out the snail mail reading options. All of that will be down below. But I'd love to read for you for the next year ahead for you. They're my favorite readings to do, so do feel free to check those out, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye. Hello group 3, if you've decided to choose this piece of blue something or other, this blue stone, then this is the pile for you. I'm going to go ahead and set it here so you can see it during your reading today, as we're going to be looking into your next 2 weeks and the major energies as well as other things that are coming through for you. We're going to be doing that mostly through only charms today. We're only going to be pulling one card specifically from a physical card deck, but most of them are going to be from both the oracle charms as well as the tarot charms that I have here from the Charmcast Tarot. But we're going to actually be starting with letter tiles and number tiles here today. So I'm going to go ahead and move this here so you can see it. But we're going to be looking first into your letters. So do feel free to get settled, get ready for this reading, have it off in the background, or do feel free to grab a cozy blanket or a nice snack or something else just to get yourself cozy and ready for this. But we're going to start out, like I said, with the letter tiles. So I like to pick these out for specific initials, names, dates, places, and other things that might be showing up for you. But you can also use them as oracle messages. So we're going to see what comes through. So let's see here. Group 3, next 2 weeks. Okay. All right, so I like to look at these first 2 letters to see if there's more nonverbal communication or more very direct communication with more words and language. And seeing as you have both a consonant that sometimes is a vowel and another vowel, that's showcasing to me that if you're trying to have communication be more direct over this next 2 weeks, then you're going to have to put a little bit more effort in, because it seems that it's going to be more nonverbal communication. So people might be more subtle with their communication. You can see passive aggression sometimes coming through there that I'm getting sometimes with this reading. But just being aware of that. We'll see what else comes through, obviously, and see if that continues to feel the same. I always think that if you get more than one marker of that, then that's always a really good sign to listen to that. So we have I and Y showing up here first, but we also have the letter E, so another vowel, E, and I, yep, as well as A, and the only consonant that we got is the letter L. So that's what I'm getting here, right? Like, there's not a lot to make words with here other than Lee, Leah. Y can showcase that you have a lot of questions that you're hoping to have answered. And again, because there's a lot of nonverbal communication, passive aggression, or a feeling of just no one saying what they really mean, that can mean like it can mean in like a romantic sense, right? Someone not really wanting to explain their feelings. It can also mean, like I said, in that passive aggression sense, that someone's saying one thing but means an entirely different other thing. So context clues are really important here, and directly asking those questions right out to a person who seems like they're being a bit shady or going about those ways, or if you are, then it's really important to maybe shift that communication to be a little bit more direct over these next 2 weeks. But yeah, those are what I'm really getting here so far from your letters. But like I said, you might be seeing states, you might be seeing places as well coming through here. You have yeah, Lee, Leah, 2 eyes representing a lot to do with things that are personal to you over these next 2 weeks as well. So yeah, I want to see what else there is though with your other cards and charms and things here. So we're going to look first into the numbers. So the numbers can represent just in general, you can play around with the colors and see what comes through for you. These can represent lucky numbers, angel numbers. They can represent oracle messages and numerology, but you can also see them as specific dates and timing. So let's see what comes through for you over the next 2 weeks. Group 3. Okay, so I felt really called to the number 2 here. So this communication is probably happening with just one other person. But we also have the number 6, as well as 9, as well as 4 and 13. It's funny because right now it is the time that I'm recording this, it's Friday the 13th. So a lot of people can see that as an unlucky thing, but right, it comes down to perspective and to history. So there can be, again, context that's missing. I keep getting this feeling that there's context that's missing. Someone's either withholding information or not explaining the whole thing. Context really matters. So before blowing up about something or having that passive aggression coming in, just getting all of the facts on the table, getting things more clearly and directly pointed out is going to be really important for you over these next 2 weeks, especially with one individual. So we're definitely going to see if we have any court cards coming through for you. But those are the things that we have showing up here: 6, 9, 4, 2, and 13. So do feel free to see what comes through for you there. We are going to be moving on though to your main energy, right? So we're going to be pulling you one specific card from the Gentle Tarot here to look into one specific energy that's going to be most like center stage. So if you think of your next 2 weeks, like what's the energy that's talking the most, that's saying the most, or that is a common thread throughout. So do feel free, as always, to send your energy in through time and space, but especially with collective readings like this and for one specific card, I think it's really important to send your energy in. So do feel free to do that now. And let's see, group 3. What do you got coming in for your main stage energy, the main thread? Okay, so we have the Hermit. Interesting, not what I was expecting. Like I said, I felt like we might get a court card or something like that, and we'll definitely be looking a little bit further into it. But yeah, you have the Hermit here, and this specific Hermit always feels a little like discontent, right? Whenever I see this Hermit, it feels like they found their way into this space, and usually it represents solitude, it represents introspection, it represents taking some time off, hibernation, rest, recovery, but this specific Hermit is just giving me this feeling of like loneliness, or feeling a little bit like you didn't mean to find yourself here, but somehow you found yourself here, you know what I mean? And it's not any one person's fault. There's a lot, again, of context, missing context here, right? We can see what's happening here to this little fox, but we don't know the whole story. We don't know the people, the places. You might know what the story is, so some of you might know what this is about. I think there is missing context here. So it can be that you're trying to currently, over these next 2 weeks, uncover something, dig something up, look for that context. It can be that you're looking into the past quite far. It could be that you are having new memories come up that you haven't revisited for a long while. So giving yourself a little bit of recovery and rest and time to really look through all of that is really important. For some of you, I feel like that's really important to just be a little bit more tender with yourself over these next 2 weeks. But yeah, let's look a little further. That little fox. I want to give you guys a hug. So let's go ahead and see the other energies coming through. So we're going to use this casting cloth and the charms. Like I mentioned, we're going to look more into that Hermit energy here with the main stage energy, but we're also going to look into these 2 little noodle shapes here for the first week and the second week, as well as any other timing coming through with the moon phases or oracle messages there. So we're going to start out first with the Charmcast Tarot here. So do feel free to send your energy in through time and space. We're going to see what comes in. So feel free to send that in here. And let's see. Group 3. So we don't have anything falling in the center. We might get more here in a moment. But yeah, we're going to look at all of these here in just a moment. But most of it's coming in here with the second week, which has been kind of a theme for the last couple of readings. But let's see a little bit more context here with the charms. So do feel free to send your energy in through time and space. And let's see more for you, group 3, over these next 2 weeks. More context. Okay, so we're not really getting much in the center. I feel like again, that missing context is a thread throughout this entire reading so far. And I know that can be frustrating, especially if you're feeling fine right now and you're like, what's that about? What is this about? We're going to look into the rest of the charms, though. I don't want to leave you hanging there. But they didn't really want to showcase any more here. So I think it's really important for you to continue to focus on this Hermit card. And because of that, I'm going to go ahead and set it in the center here for you. But it seems you're going to have a lot of questions that are going to kind of be unanswered over these next 2 weeks. And just to be really gentle and tender with yourself, that's a main thread. Being patient as well. A lot of patience is coming through. But I'm going to go ahead and zoom you in so you can see a little bit closer. So we're going to start here with week 1. First off, over here on the last quarter moon, which is happening, I think, right now as of I'm filming this on Friday the 13th. But just in general, something that happens maybe around the waning side of the moon phases. You can look that up in a moon app or something, depending on when you're watching this. We have the court card of the King of Cups showing up here. And so the King of Cups can be very in their emotions. They can be quite creative in their way of speaking and talking and communicating for sure. They can be the artsy kind of person, right? So they don't always explain everything with words, but rather through their actions, through their visuals, through their creations. So it can be that also right now you are trying to, whether this is with a person or not, I can feel that maybe you are someone who's trying to creatively access information that has been lost. Like I said, some of you are regaining memories, maybe going through stuff. Again, be tender with yourself. But because of that, I think you might be trying to use creative ways through art journaling, through dancing, through songwriting, through written word, all sorts of different things. Again, those nonverbals showing up here. So I'm really feeling like dancing or moving through your body in some way to re-access that, or through other creative means that are showing up here, maybe musically. So yeah, maybe someone, if you don't feel like this is yourself, then the context is maybe coming in through maybe someone sending you a playlist or sending you a song, and these are the ways in which they're communicating to you non-verbally, and that might be coming up too around that moon. This specific moon phase outside of timing can also represent releasing something, letting something go, releasing something. Forgiveness is also showing up here. So there can be a little bit of forgiveness coming through for someone that's maybe very creative, very into the arts and that kind of thing. That's showing up here as well. Could be a parental figure too. Other things that are happening though in your next 2 weeks, maybe outside of this context, you have a change in style. Whenever I see this, it represents a change in style. It can be your physical style, like maybe you're going to go and get some new clothes or something like that, but it can also represent like a change in the style in which you speak, in the style in which you go about things. It really feels quite mundane though, so I feel like a lot of you is just going to be like picking up a new t-shirt or, something like that. We also have here the thou shall not bear false witness against thy neighbor. So again, a little bit more of that passive aggression showing up here, someone kind of framing you or framing a situation in a new light that maybe isn't useful to you. But it does seem like you have the guiding light here showing up here. I also see this as a flashlight. So just like a flashlight, right, it does show us only the amount of context that is illuminated. There's so much more to it, right? When you're shining a flashlight on something, you're only seeing that one spotlight. There's so much more context. So again, I feel like there's just a lot of missing context, a lot of missing clues here. And I feel like a lot of this is going to come up within the first week. It doesn't have to be something that's big and major, you know what I mean? But it's just specifically in the first week coming through the most. As for the second week over here, you have a little bit of different things happening. So first off, you have luck changing back into your favor, which makes me very excited for you. You have the Lady Luck little charm. So I see this as like luck clipping onto you. You see opportunity and optimism, and especially around something that you've been working really hard for. There's something you've been putting a lot of your skills, a lot of your time and effort into that's going to have new possibilities and a lot of luck coming to. Luck in your favor on the second week, especially for something that you're putting your focus on. We also have here both the 7 of Cups and the 8 of Cups. So we're going from 7 to 8. Again, another succession of time. This showcases, the 7 of Cups showcases a lot of options, a lot of possibilities. Sometimes it can be overwhelming. This can also, it does feel like, again, you have all cup cards other than that one. So it really feels like, again, this is a very emotionally driven next 2 weeks. Your emotions are going to drive a lot of what you speak and say, and the actions and momentum that you take into account and decide to utilize over these next 2 weeks. But again, it kind of keeps coming back to this feeling of like when you gain more context on a person or gain more context to your current situation, especially around this King of Cups, which again, I'm sorry that I can't give you a lot of this context. It's just not coming through, and maybe there's a reason for that. You have an opportunity here to maybe walk away from someone. So it can be that maybe you need a little bit of time away from this person, or you need that context to realize that you need to leave the situation. It could be something more serious. It could be something more small, just needing a little bit of time off. But we do see a retreat here showing up here with the 8 of Cups. So 2 8s as well. And I also felt really called to the number 8 you had over here. Or maybe you didn't have 8. I don't know why I felt like you had a number 8. I guess it's number 9. Interesting. But I do really feel called to your number 8 for whatever reason. 8 usually representing sometimes breaking a cycle that feels infinite. So yeah, some really big things, maybe heavier things. Like I said, being very tender with yourself over these next 2 weeks is going to be really important. Looking for that context that's been missing can be really important. Having direct conversations, direct communication, avoiding passive aggression, and also just allowing yourself in some of these places too to kind of take up a new style, take up a new space. Taking up space is showing up here. And then I'm also getting that feeling too that just some new opportunities and luck kind of shifting and changing by the second week. So that's what I'm really getting here for all of your charms and cards. Again, sorry that I can't give you all of that context. Sometimes they like to be quite ominous, right? That then be very annoying. But I do hope that this still gave you a little bit more context, a little bit more information that you might have been looking for. Again, these are your letters and your numbers, and your main card being the Hermit here. So taking time off that tenderness. But yeah, before I repeat myself too much here, do feel free to give this video a like if you found it useful or helpful to you in any way. It really helps the algorithm, helps the channel, and I really appreciate it. You can also let me know any feedback on the reading itself or how you felt it resonated down below in the comments. If you're interested to look more into charm casting and educational videos on tarot and oracle readings, you can check out and subscribe to this channel, but I also do readings every single Monday that you can check out as well, for both timeless and monthly and 2-week readings. And if you want to support this channel even further, you can check out all of that information down below for private and personal readings. Right now, I'm doing my favorite readings, which are the 2023 or year ahead readings that I love to do. These are my favorites every single year. There's just something full of potential and opportunity at a new year, right? Whether it's a mindset or something more divine timing based, regardless, there's something there and very treasured about this time. So do feel free to check those out down below. I have both digital and snail mail readings. Usually I only have snail mail, so definitely feel free to check out the lowered prices and more options there for digital readings down below. And yeah, all of that will be down there, and it really supports the channel, so I do appreciate it. And yeah, I do really wish you the best. So much tenderness, sending you hugs and comfort over these next 2 weeks. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.